Have you ever noticed that the people who are the most unhappy or like have the most dysfunctional lives or like are the most miserable people are often and usually the ones who are the most intrusive and most demanding about how you should be living, about the decisions that you should be making? Have you ever noticed this? Um, I'm going to talk about it in this video. If you're new here, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist, and I mean, honestly, I kind of specialize in human behavior, and I notice a lot of systems. I notice a lot of patterns, and I notice that like people these days, they have a total. There's a lot of doubt. They doubt themselves so much. Overthinking is part of this too. People who overthink, they tend to doubt themselves more and more and more and more and more. Overthinking is a problem. Overthinking is a plague. Overthinking will sabotage you. Overthinking will undermine you. It is very, very difficult to have confidence. It's very, very difficult to be able to make decisions. It's very, very difficult to really make decisions with confidence and without doubts if you're overthinking, right? Because overthinking, the more people overthink, the more that they convince themselves that they have to fight. What if I do the wrong thing, right? And this is irrational. Getting into this go 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 about like I'm afraid to do the wrong thing and afraid to do the wrong thing. Like overthinking and being afraid to do the wrong thing is a problem. That will trip you up. That will cause you problems. That'll give you dysfunction. But because we doubt ourselves, right? That just seems to open the door, I find, for people to insert themselves, tell us what to do, tell us how to be living, right? And I I had this client, and I remember, this is just one case. This is just one example, right? And he was a young adult, like in the 18 to 25 range, right? And he was telling me about how his uncle was constantly telling him, do this, do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, you should do this, you should do that, like all the time, right? And his uncle this, and my uncle says this, my uncle says that, my uncle says this. And I was like, how's your uncle's life going? And he's like, not great. And I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised whatsoever. I'm just sitting there like, wow, imagine my shock, right? Uncle's life is not going so great. And because the fact of the matter is that the people that have the most dysfunctional lives, the people who are maybe the most, I was avoiding this term, I'm going to use it anyways, screwed up, are often the ones who are most insistent that you should make decisions according to what they think for you. It's a very, very bizarre phenomenon. I'm going to get into why I think that is, and why and why it's important to learn to trust yourself, stop doubting yourself, have confidence in yourself, and what's going to help you get there. This is just part of wellness, man. This is part of like just how to be a well and healthy person. And so I'm going to talk about like the people who are always telling you what you should do, the really messed up people who have really dysfunctional lives. By the way, when this particular guy would describe to me, his uncle, he's like, well, he's super overweight. He's been divorced multiple times. He's broke. He's angry. He's cynical. He's negative. He's super toxic. Right? Why is it that super negative, super toxic people get into their minds that it's their job to tell everybody else what to do? I'm going to get into that. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way. Please help me grow my channel. If you are new here, you like this content, hit subscribe, obviously. Notification bell, like, comment, all that stuff. Share it for me if you like this video. You know what to do, right? Everybody knows what to do. You know how to help people with their YouTube channels. If you have a viewer question, you can ask a therapist online. You can leave questions in the comments section below. I do my best to get to them. I definitely do my best to get to the good ones. Some questions are better than others, right? If you really like my content, hit the tip jar, please. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all of those are in the description below. I think that's all I'm gonna cover for now in my housekeeping. If you watch my other videos, you kind of know what goes on with that. And so let's get into this, right? I'm gonna use another example too, by the way. I had a good friend whose mother-in-law was nuttier than you know what. She was one of the weirdest, strangest, craziest people I've ever known in my life. That's saying a lot. And her marriage was an absolute shambles. But she was always dishing out um, marital advice, like she knows anything about it, right? And what's interesting is that miserable people, they can't give you a roadmap to happiness. In fact, when they are dishing out and doling out advice and telling people what to do, they're giving instructions on how to precisely have the same life that they do, right? It's not like they have the formula for happiness and success and choose to do something different, but they're handing out good advice just out of the goodness of their heart. And so my feeling on it is honestly like, if you know someone who is really, really abrasive about handing out advice and telling you what to do, man, I'll give you some tips on how to manage them. Right? There's certain assertive phrases that I really like. For example, thanks for the suggestion. Like, give it really bland. Just give it really soft. Not confrontational. Leave the sarcasm out of it, right? Because we all know that these types they tend to take everything personal and they'll just get upset with you. So, oh, thanks for the suggestion, right? Or this one's a good one too. You could be right. And just stuff like that. Okay, become the gray stone, right? Why do they do this? Let's talk about like why people who have never been happy are always the ones telling you how to live, what decisions to make, what is going on with them, right? And what I won't spend too much time on it. I'll just say this is that I see this relationship with misery and control. Miserable people try to control others, okay? And that causes a lack of control. Okay, and when people try to control things that they can't control, that creates misery, which creates a lack of control, which causes them to want to control. And so it's not that they feel like they know what happiness is or how to get there or what it means to, right, on sound advice. It's a control thing, right? Is that miserable people are controlling. Controlling people are miserable. Period. I mean, period. You show me someone who's miserable, I'll show you that they have a lack of control in areas of their life, and they try to control things that they can't control, and so they are miserable as a result. That results in them trying to control things that they can't control. More misery ensues, more control issues, etc., etc., and around they go. So it's not like they're like, I'm really concerned about my nephew, and I really want him to be happy, and so I think this is what he needs from me so that he'll find a happiness that I haven't found, right? They don't come from that motivation. They come from the motivation of, I feel out of control, I'm miserable, and I just want to control others as an irrational way. They don't think this through. Okay, part of being mentally healthy, part of wellness, folks, is being deliberate, being intentionally deliberate. Like, do I want to be happy? Yes, I do. How do I know it doesn't work? What have I tried that doesn't work? What do people tell me to do that hasn't worked? Time to do something different, etc., etc., etc. You got to be like logical. You got to use your cognition. You got to walk yourself through it, okay? And so on to the last part of this video that I want to talk about is learning how to trust yourself, okay? First, you have to understand that it's okay to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And I see people, the miserable, dysfunctional people, unhealthy people, they're afraid to make mistakes when they're necessary and inevitable. Mistakes are natural. I mean, that's like saying like only breathe out. Like saying like this attitude of like don't make mistakes is just as illogical and irrational as saying only exhale all the time. Don't ever inhale. Exhale only. And if you inhale, oh, well, you blew it, right? And that's kind of how we treat mistakes. Mistakes are normal. Mistakes are a normal part of the learning and growing process. I really think that society would do so much better when we just embrace that. I believe that truly healthy people, they embrace the process of making mistakes and failing. And they just see it as a normal, natural part of the process and without overthinking. And I told this to a parent this week, is that if you always focus on why it's not good enough yet, you'll never arrive. You'll never get there. If you focus on perfection, you'll never have it ever. And that's miserable. Like, you just get lost and nihilistic and cynical, right? And so what you got to do first is realize, like, hey, my mistakes are normal. It's okay. Number two, it's like, stop overthinking, right? And I really, and I talk about this a lot in my videos. I'm very, very spiritual. I do a lot of meditation. There's part of your consciousness that is like grounded, is solid, is smart, is dialed in, it's your intuition. And as long as you're listening to your frantic overthinking mind, you're not going to be able to hear that intuition. Your intuition is always just sort of like waiting patiently, like, I'll always be here. When you're ready to talk, let me know. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay right here. And then we just run and run and run and run around the hamster wheel of our overthinking mind, trying to solve problems with the same mindset that created the problems in the first place. That's another reason why these dysfunctional people tell you what to do. They're trying to solve problems with the same mindset that created those problems. Okay? Or the part of their consciousness that created it. So to me, that's why I love meditation so much, partially. There's many reasons why I love it. But being able to help yourself to listen to your intuition and be at peace with your road, the journey that you take, whether it's a bumpy one or not, right? And when you do that, suddenly you have more confidence in yourself. The doubt starts to dissipate. But the more you listen to doubt, the more doubtful you're going to feel. Stop putting your energy into that, okay? So that's kind of my little wellness vlog video for today. That's what's on my mind, man. It's just so interesting. Again, it's like the people who are the most insistent that you do the things that they want you to do are usually the ones who are the most dysfunctional, that have the most problems. But, and I'm going to tangent here. I was going to close this up, but I'm going to tangent again real quick here. And that is that I feel like we see this in society, is there's just these demands that you have to act and think and be certain ways because we said so, because we decided that we're in charge of you. And when I've had those types in therapy, the ones that are just like, society has the wrong opinions and they have to conform to me and what I think that they should do. When I start to get to know those people a lot better, they're pretty dysfunctional. Really dysfunctional. It's just really interesting. It's an interesting human phenomenon that the most dysfunctional people are the ones that are the ones who are most insistent about how other people should live. This is true for people with personality disorders too, by the way. Narcissists, borderlines, these are the last people we should be listening to. These are the last people that should be doling out advice. The last ones, but they are the most aggressive about it, right? When they're the ones that it's like, okay, if I listen to you, I might end up like you, and that's not gonna happen. Anyways, I got stuff to do before I go to work. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.